I said, this seems like a really important thing.
True professionals like this who represent what we are in every single market.
There are opportunities out there, and you just have to grab it.
But a moment like that, where you realize you really do touch people's lives, it's a good feeling.
I mean, it gives me so much joy.
Yeah.
Watching or giving somebody the keys to a house.
Yeah.
And saying, here, welcome to your new home.
CNG Media.
Hey everyone, this episode is in collaboration with Robert Graham, featuring styles from the Short Hill store in New Jersey. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Vino with Vito, and today we have Brian Gallagher. He's a veteran of a foreign war here, and we all love our veterans, and that's why I wanted Brian to come on the show. And we also have the Wizard here.
The Wizard's back.
The Wizard is back. And today I actually wore a new Robert Graham shirt. Look at that. I took the tags off. It's called the Crown Jewel. How's it look, guys?
It's
I
amazing.
think it's pretty
like
cool,
it.
right?
You could handily support Robert Graham by yourself.
Of course. I always do.
You're definitely putting its kids through college with your shirt.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
I love to see their P&L.
I love
Excel sheet for Vito.
If you don't buy shirts from them, their stocks tank.
Forget it. You gotta stay alive. Stay healthy.
I try. I work out every morning. Brian, I have here for you a nice Vino with Vito
excellent.
T-shirt.
Look at that.
Please wear it
I love
around Fairfield.
My new gym shirt.
There you go. Just don't wear it in the Fairfield Park. The squirrels will come after you.
That's great.
But I'm glad you came, Brian. We've been talking about you coming on the show for a while, and I'm glad you made it. Everybody knows we drink wine here on the show, but we have dry January here for you guys.
Sober.
Right.
But you guys are staying sober. Can't be Vino with Vito without a glass of wine for me. So
Now you're doing a dry January also?
I'm going to go into February, probably.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you. So I did dry January. This is year 4 on dry January. So I just kept it going.
Nice.
So I thought, like, okay, I did 30 days. I won. All right, now what? And I didn't miss it. I really didn't
Yeah,
miss.
right. I don't miss it either.
Waking up, no hangovers, more money in your pocket. And I'm like, let's see how far I can go with this. And then went about 6 months and had a glass of wine at dinner once. And I was like, you know what? I don't miss it. Let's keep on going.
Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
CV?
I did that with cigarettes, but I'm not doing it with wine. Cigarettes.
You lasted like 10 minutes.
7.
7 minutes?
Yeah.
You'd have to change the name of the show if you gave up drinking.
If I gave up drinking. I'll start bringing the other wine. What's that? Non-alcoholic wine. But
That's called Bulch's grape juice.
There you go. But Brian, again, thank you for coming. Now, Brian, you served in the Gulf War, correct?
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps from 1990 to 1994. I was in the first Gulf War. I was in Somalia. I was deployed for the 4 years that I was in the Marine Corps. 3 years on and off were spent overseas somewhere. So I spent a good chunk of my young adult life in other countries, experiencing things that most people won't experience in their lives, or experiencing different cultures in different countries that I'm so appreciative of doing at a young age. And it was probably the best decision I ever made in my life. Well, best decision as a young man can make was joining our military.
Gives you perspective on things.
Oh, 100%. Especially when, you're in another country and people want to kill you and you're like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
You don't go into the military, at least back then, when we were out of, there was no wars or anything. And then Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait when I was in boot camp. And the tempo just increased drastically towards the end of boot camp because everybody was like, you're going overseas, and everybody knew it. So you get a different perspective on life of everything. Because, you join the military and you don't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to go to war. It's a possibility, but, now, obviously, we're out of conflicts for the time being. But, early 90s, that's not the first thing comes to mind.
Right. Wow.
So
Imagine.
Saddam comes into play. What year is that? That's
That was he invaded in August of 1990.
1990.
So, yeah, so we literally had about 3 weeks left of training, and you
and
know,
you got shipped.
and then no, I mean, I went through the normal training, finished boot camp, graduated boot camp. You come home for a few days on your leave. You have 10 days of leave, spend it with your family and friends, and then you're off to a month of. Doesn't matter what job you have in the Marine Corps, you're off to combat training, Marine combat training for a month, and then you go off to your school. And I was a radio communicator, and I went off to 29 Palms, California. And from there, you go to your duty station. You get, write down the list, where would you like to go? And it's, luck of the draw where the needs of the Marine Corps is where they'll send you.
Wow.
What was the hardest part?
Of boot camp or
Yeah.
just, I think, it is definitely more mental than physical. You're 19 years old. If you're in good shape, you're going to get
You
through.
heal quicker, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the exercises and the physical labor you can get through. It's just putting you in the right mindset of, will I get through it? And you see guys who are like, really built and they're dropping, like flies. We started our platoon with like 70, 80 guys
And ended
and we graduated with like 22,
Wow.
23 recruits.
with not easy.
It's definitely not. And I think it's something that most people would go into thinking like, oh yeah, you hear, oh, if my drill instructor yells at me, I'm going to punch him right in the face. You're
not
absolutely not going to do that. I can tell you that with 100% surety.
When the Gulf War happened, okay, like you said, 1990, 91, and I remember when George Bush decided to, after Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait and stuff, and I think it took a little time
Yeah.
before George Bush and the United States decided to send our Marines and everybody, to Desert Storm. And as everybody knows, I was born in Italy. When he did that, I went and applied for my citizenship.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
Oh, that's amazing.
yep, yep. A lot of people don't know that, but because of what the United States stood for,
Yeah,
that's when I said,
that's terrific.
yeah. I think it was 91, I believe. When that happened.
91 is, so 90 was like Desert Shield, and then
Shield, right,
91 is Desert Storm. I think
Storm.
January 91 is
Right.
when it was,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So did you write in January? You said,
As I remember, it was as soon as he decided to send our troops there, I said, it's time for me to become a citizen.
now what
It was
made
always
you,
time to do it, but
Yeah.
but by him doing that, I just said, you know what? This is America. This is what we stand for.
Good for you.
People shouldn't bully us, and applied for citizenship.
It's funny how war will do that to people. You heard on 9/11, people just lining up in the
Yeah.
recruiters' offices because of what happened. Your story, deciding to become an American citizen. And, I think people will do things to serve this country in the way that they can, right? Maybe you can't join the
Definitely.
military, but maybe you want to do something to do your part to show that you believe in this country. We're not the best country in the world. We're trying hard. We're, you hear it all the time. It's an experiment, over 200 years old, this country, compared to Italy,
Right. The
centuries
Romans, yeah.
and
Yep,
centuries
yep,
old.
Yep.
So I feel that when you do have people who are behind this country, and I can't speak of other countries, but I don't know if somebody in France would
Do that.
something
It's a
would
good
happen. What is it about this country? We're these rebels in a way, right?
Patriotism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's taught in our
Patriotism runs
schools
deep.
too. I think years ago it
a
was
good point.
taught a lot in our schools. Not so much now. I think
Yeah.
it's changing a little bit, but
That's a
we were
really
taught
good
that
point.
in school. And I think that where we slipped up was losing the patriotism in school to start. Because a lot of
Yeah.
schools taught you to hate this country. And you've seen it all over the place. You know, states, they watch two different movies. If you're up here, up north, compared to down south, you're watching, it's two different
Oh,
scenarios.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I think schools for sure. But what you said though is interesting. I mean, we're a new country. I mean, World War II wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. So it's interesting. But
I remember going to France for the first time, and I'm looking at buildings. You know, our ship pulls in, and when an American ship pulls into a foreign port, it's something, right? And depending on that port, the Marines and the sailors, they do what's called manning the rails. You get in your uniform. And you probably seen this on TV where, you have these Marines and sailors line up at the edge of the ship. As the ship pulls in, and people go bananas for that. And I remember pulling into France, and I think I'm like 21 at the time, and I'm looking at these buildings, and I'm like, the culture and the history of all these countries that I was going to, at 20, 21 years old, and I'm like, geez, this building here where there's a bar, it probably was a house to somebody,
at some point.
back in like the 1700s, the 1600s. You're in, Europe, and all these buildings are, a regular building is older than our country.
Right.
You know?
crazy to think
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like last time we went to Italy, we went to Matera, and, near my hometown, and they have caves. Sassi di Matera, they actually filmed one of the James Bond's movie in there, but restaurants were like in caves. Like you go down. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What you see out there.
It's crazy to think about. Like I went to Italy in August, and I walked through Rome, and it scared the hell out of me because I'm saying to myself, everyone's going, how beautiful it is, and it is gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
But they fell. When do we fall?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. To see like their structures back then, they were so advanced. They had plumbing. It was super cool to see, but the Romans fell.
Yeah.
So when does our currency fall? When does our civilization fall? It's crazy.
Hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't. So
But it's great that, and we want to thank you for serving our country here. Being a veteran today and buying, real estate, right? When you bought your house, were you able to utilize a VA loan?
Yeah, we were actually, looking at whether or not I should use the VA loan. And thankfully, mortgage rates weren't so bad when my wife and I were buying our first house. We didn't have to go through the VA to get a VA loan, but knowing that it's there as backup, and it's something that's afforded to you because you served this country. A lot of veterans, I hope they know about, a program like that and different programs. I know in the state of New Jersey, if you rate 100% disability, if you were, hurt in a war and you get 100% disability, the state of New Jersey, you don't have to pay any property tax.
Any property tax, correct. Yep.
And you imagine not having to pay property tax in Fairfield. It's like $19,000, $20,000 you'd be saving a year.
Yeah, just on property taxes alone. Yeah. I mean, like you look at the VA loans, and I hope, like you said, veterans utilize that. Like today's VA loan, right? If you have a 720 credit score, okay, our regular mortgage rates now, it's a little bit different. They're actually higher than the VA loans. But a regular mortgage rate today's what, January 30th, is hovering probably close to 7%, give or take. A VA loan is at 5.99. As long as you have a 520 credit score.
Yeah.
It's huge, but you got to pay, I think, a point or something. But still, the other good thing about, buying with a VA loan is you don't have to come out with any money out of your pocket.
That's right.
Where the government will actually, lend you.
We'll back it.
Will back it and lend you 100% of what that house
as they should.
They should.
Yeah.
And again, I keep stressing, about VA loans and, everybody that served our country, they should take advantage of that. And the government should be helping out and doing their part. Again, you were 21 years old. You were in another country risking your life.
Yeah.
for our country. Why wouldn't they want to, take care of our veterans out there? And, do you feel they're doing enough for our veterans out there? I know I shouldn't ask that question, but
I think they are. If you look at the GI Bill too, you can get, I know part of my college was paid for. It helped me get my degree. And I think it's even better now than it was in the mid to late 90s. I didn't go to college right away. Well, I went to college before I joined the Marine Corps, went in for a few semesters, said at the time, this is not for me. It's not what I want in life right now. Joined the Marine Corps, and then got out and continued my education. And then part of that was paid for by the military, by our taxpayers. And I think it's even better now, comparatively speaking, to their early 90s. And, I think someone who's 19, 20 years old, maybe they're directionalists. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's perfect for them.
Perfect.
Right? Go into the military, get out, get your education. Now you're a little more wiser. You're a little more mature, hopefully.
After that,
exactly. And
when you got the drill sergeant on your ass all day long.
So I think just benefits alone, if they told me, hey, you're just going to get, a GI Bill, that's it. I'll be like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's something. And, you're getting, VA loans, you're getting all these different programs as a veteran, and even Medicare and Medicaid, and when you're an older veteran, you have the VA. That if you can't afford health care, the VA is there for you.
Yeah.
So it really does help a lot when you are someone who served this country and maybe you're in a bit of a jam and you don't have proper health care, but you're a veteran. You can walk into a VA hospital and get the care that you need.
What do you think their care is like, the VA hospitals?
It's comparable to regular civilian health care.
Really?
I was impressed. I had a hand injury a couple of winters ago, and I went in there to get some surgery done on my fingers. And I'll tell you, the care that you get from the VA is by far, I dare to say, it surpasses some, maybe some other countries.
Was that in the 90s or was that
No, this
recent?
was recent. This is just a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And I tell you, the people that work there in the VA, the doctors, and no, they're not veterans. Well, some are veterans, but they're not getting paid a lot of money because they're in the VA system. So they're there because they care.
They want to be there.
They want to be there. They want to help and care for our veterans. So you're getting, that
care.
That care.
Yeah, and even going back to like having like no direction at that age, like look at J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, that awful childhood, and he had that opportunity to go overseas. And that's patriotic right there. You come from nothing, go to the Marines, and now you're the vice president of the United States.
Could you believe that, you're 19, 20 years old, and then 20 years later...
I get chills thinking about that.
you're now the VP of this country.
Crazy.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
And you said you were at Somalia?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's,
You definitely have a couple stories from there.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I remember we were on ship. So Marines also serve on ship.
They're part
with
of
the Department of the Navy.
Yeah.
We'd like to call ourselves the men's department of the Navy. And when you're on ship, you're basically a floating country. So you're basically floating, and you could do this in the Mediterranean, in the Gulf, or the Pacific. So the Marine Corps has what's called a Marine Expeditionary Unit. 3,000 Marines are on a Navy vessel. And you're floating around in case something happens. You have a quick reaction force. You're right there. So we were in the Persian Gulf area when things started to kick off in Somalia. And we went into two areas. We went into Mogadishu and Kismayu. And we went out there looking for for these bad guys.
How close are those combats? Like 100 yards, 200 yards? You guys close on top of each other, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like, say the Gulf War where you have, your forward edge of the battlefield area, right? You have your line of where things are, and then you start to see this change where it starts to be asymmetrical warfare, where your threat can come in any direction. And that's how wars are fought the past 20 years. If you look at Iraq and you look at Afghanistan, you got a kid in a Humvee driving and they get blown up.
Yeah.
And it can happen anywhere at any time.
How'd you take it? How'd your crew take it, being over there?
I mean,
Did you settle in, or?
Yeah, you kind of, I think when you're young, you're just naive to the situation.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily take yourself out of that situation. You're just in it, and it's a part of you. Mm-hmm. So I think when you have that reflection, that moment of reflection afterwards, when you're older and much more wiser, and you can now look at it, and you're like, holy cow, I was in some serious, situations. That, like I look at my I have a 19-year-old, or now he's 20, just turned 20 the other day. I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I look at my 20-year-old sometimes, I'm like, my God, that was me.
You.
That was me. And I try to envision him in my situation in the military, and I'm like, oh, he's too young for that.
Yeah.
But I was the same age,
Years ago, though, it was different. It's not like today.
Yeah,
it's not that
way
we
different.
baby our kids or whatever, but
We definitely baby our kids.
Yeah, but besides babying our kids, but again, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Years ago, we'd go out at and come back at nighttime. We had no cell phones.
That's right.
We had nothing.
That's what made
we
you guys
hung
grow up
out.
fast.
Right.
Yeah.
You
had to
grew up
figure it out.
fast.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably a few years apart from each other, but the same type of experience. When you were younger, you were a latchkey kid. You come home from school and, you let yourself in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or there was maybe a back door that was unlocked that you would go through it. But, that's, and
I'm proud, like I'm 27, but I'm happy the way my parents raised me, because I was never like coddled like that.
Right.
Because I see some of my friends, like even like baseball growing up, the moms would have snacks and ice packs on the bench. I'm like, so I was never brought up like that, which I'm happy about, because I don't know how I would have done if I got ice packs and fruit snacks on the bench.
I remember being in kindergarten, walking home from school. I actually had a key. Nobody was home. I
this in
opened the
Italy,
back
or is
door.
this in the States?
In the States. In the States. I did all my school in the States. I actually had a key, opened the back door, and went inside. That was it. Imagine that, 5 years old, whatever.
Yeah, different world.
So
you were in Somalia for how long?
we were there for, I believe it was 2 months, on and off. I remember we'd go back onto the ship, and then we'd go back in, go to like another area in Somalia, and then, so you have the ship that's kind of off the port, and then you take what's called LCACs. They're like these hover boats that just like fly above, and you take you into an area, you drive your vehicles off. And I remember this one time we took a military helicopter and dropped us off this abandoned airport, which upstairs we shared with another multinational country. I can't remember. I think it was like Sweden or no, sorry. It was a Dutch. I remember it was a Dutch country that they had the upstairs of this abandoned airport, and we took the downstairs area. It was all blown out, and what we had to do is we had to establish communications from the ship to the helicopters and to the we were part of what's called an air support liaison team. So we would coordinate any type of air support, where to pick up troops, where to drop off troops, where to pick up wounded, where to do your fire missions, and so it was very chaotic. It was kind of like controlled chaos. If you can imagine Marines in a half circle around the vehicles, and each vehicle has a different type of radio, what they call the radio net. And they're all on different frequencies, talking to different teams, talking to different units, talking to the ship. Everything is going all at once. It's almost like back in the 80s and 90s when you see the stock market and you know, all the yelling and everything, and then,
same thing.
It's chaos, but it's a bit
organized.
controlled. It's organized, and that's exactly what it is. You have lieutenant and the captain who are talking to pilots and giving them their bombing missions, and you have other guys talking to troops of where to put the other units, and you're also controlling an aircraft that just got on what we call on station, and then you're like, okay, fly 7 Angels, and check in at this point, and everything is happening all at once, and then the radios go silent after like a couple hours, and you're just like, you're stressed. You're just like, oh my god. Because
think about tech back then too. There was no iPhone.
Oh my god, yeah. We're talking about regular HF,
radio,
UHF, VHF frequencies. No iPhones.
The cans with the string, and you're just like, hello.
Because I remember hearing like missions back in the 90s, like trying to get pictures was like crazy.
Yeah.
For recon and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. Like even digital photography did not even exist.
Just to send it back to base was like you had to get the right signal.
But during the war, though, during Desert Storm, I remember we used to see the live missions on TV.
Yeah,
that they were doing. That was before
CNN,
your time.
CNN was like, I think that's when they first let. That was the first war what they let
to come over
broadcasters into an area of like that.
Chris, you should see that. You're watching TV as it was happening, man.
Or those videos of like the smart bombs. They would have a camera on the bomb.
And it's showing the bomb's taking off and
and then you're hitting into a building and you're just seeing static at the end. That was like cutting edge. And now if you look at the Ukrainian war, you can go on YouTube and see these guys of like using their drones and putting bombs on the drones and hitting Russian troops.
How scary are the drones now?
I am so fearful of like
me too.
That type of asset to take out an enemy, and anybody can have that technology. So I think if in Iraq and Afghanistan, if it took place now, that would be a different landscape because of just the technology now. 10, 15 years, we're just away from this. Not even. Sorry.
Think about that.
And just the past several years, people are taking drones and they're saying, well, what if I put a bomb on this? What could I destroy? You could destroy a lot.
And even Elon was saying you could attach like a facial ID recognition to it, and you could go find the person that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's very scary. And think of how small those drones can be.
Yeah, and you put syringes on them.
Yeah.
There's a lot you could do.
Man, don't get me scared, guys.
Well, that's why like when the drones are flying over New Jersey, I'm like, this is why we have the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like who's going to stop that?
Yeah.
Like what do we have to stop a million drones coming through?
And now they say that these drones were they're doing research.
I thought it was Amazon to start. I thought Amazon was testing out their routes for shipping because that's where they're headed.
Yeah.
So I thought it was that, and then I'm like, it's not that. Then I heard someone lost a nuke. Did you hear that?
No.
Thesis. They thought that the terrorists came in with a suitcase nuclear-sized bomb, and they couldn't find it. So that's why they were flying at night to see radiation.
Oh, interesting.
So I heard that. I'm like, oh no.
They were flying over to Fairfield Park all the time.
Yeah.
I used to see them in my backyard.
And they were huge.
No, I actually,
Did you see them?
I
Yeah,
never
some were
saw
very
one.
big, some were
never saw one. You actually
No,
didn't?
I didn't see any of those.
I didn't see any of them either.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
crazy.
saw one that was the size of this table.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not your homegrown,
No way.
drone. That is,
That's not the one we take pictures of houses when we're putting them up for sale with,
Because again, something that big is carrying something.
yeah, that's
Even,
true.
remember, look at the Chinese balloon. Those are EMPs for sure.
Oh, you can't tell me that, China is not going to send up this balloon and not put some sort of technology attached to
100%.
it and
No,
do
they
some
just-
sort of surveillance.
I mean, EMPs are scary too.
Yeah.
That they could shut off everything.
You know,
Cars and
When you guys talk about technology, how does technology transfer into the real estate, right? So if you just talked about drones, right? What how do you leverage technology to do your job?
I mean, with technology for us, it's more, advertising, with all these new platforms that you have and everything. So you're always constantly on your TikTok, your Facebook, your Instagram, and all that. Years ago, you would take pictures with your cell phone, when you're doing a picture of a house.
Yeah.
Now you have the drones where you can take a nice aerial of the whole, area of where the house is actually, located in, the pictures and all that. So, and is it going to keep changing? Absolutely.
yeah, it
And
already is. Like the Oculus now, you could be a buyer overseas looking at an apartment in New York with
Oh,
an
my
Oculus
goodness.
on. And look, Joey Mortgages,
Yeah.
HQM, he was talking about holograms. Your buyer's agent would, might be in a hologram taking you through the house.
through the house, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
definitely a positive, I think.
Yeah.
And now what you're getting to, again, getting back to the, with technology and stuff, you're getting like here, I had put in offers on two different houses, for two different people this week. I didn't get either one of them. One of them we were $120,000 over the asking price. Okay. Waiving the appraisal, waiving, basically everything and anything, never got it. But the first question that the listing agent had, and you had to write in your email, did the buyer visit the house or they only saw a video of you showing the house?
Why do they do that?
Because
Intent, probably.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're telling me, hey, Vito, I can't make it out to look at that house, but, it's a final and best. I want to put an offer on it. Can you do a video? Can you do, or FaceTime me while we're going through the house? And then all of a sudden you're going to say, you know what? I really like that house. Yeah, let's put an offer, 100, 150. But you never visited the house.
You've never physically been in there.
Now, think about if I was a listing agent, I'd be like, no way am I taking this offer.
Yeah.
You were never there.
But think of the time savings, though, right? What if somebody doesn't have the time to physically go to a house and they say, you know what, I'm just going to log in to the computer, or I'll ask
point.
Vito to send me a link to this. What if they're cash rich and say,
And they
you know
don't
what?
care, right.
I don't
Especially
care.
with certain purchase prices.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with someone that's going to buy an $8 million home, their schedule is not wide open, I would assume.
Right,
Yeah.
something like that. But a $700,000-800,000 home when you're
Yeah.
putting your life savings in, all of a sudden you come back after you got the house and you're like, oh, let's go take a look,
Yeah.
and you're like, wow, I didn't notice this.
Yeah.
I this room is a lot smaller than I thought, and that's the reasoning behind it too. You want to make sure you visited that
Residential
house.
real estate is due for a makeover, and I think technology is going to start doing it.
Oh,
Because even
without
like
a
the
doubt.
MLSs, it is so old school, the way they have everything set
Yeah.
up. They're so behind. So I think that's a big industry that's going to get changed up a little bit.
It's
So
got to
we'll see.
get changed up, and a lot of these agents are going to be flushed out too because you know
It's
what,
like every industry.
they have no clue what's going on out there. You just got your real estate license. Hey, I got somebody call me the other day. So and so told me to call you. I'm going to school. Can you show me the ropes and everything else? I go, this is the worst time to become a realtor. Why would you even consider it?
And like cars too, technology, like the internet, the buyers are educated more than the actual person selling something.
Yeah.
Like with Zillow, like you have the same information the realtor does. So that's
I think the buyer now is much more educated. They're
way
going
more.
they're going
Yeah.
into it because it's probably the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. Why wouldn't you educate yourself and use technology to arm yourself with that information? So when you are meeting with that seller, you know the right questions to ask. You've done your homework.
yeah.
But you always still need that middleman. You always still need the realtor. Like I went to show a house the other day. Somebody was flipping, and we walk in. He kind of did a okay job, but there's stuff I saw that I thought, these
Wasn't,
guys
yeah.
wasn't, screwed up or whatever. And the people I'm taking through the house, and I tell everybody when I'm showing them a house, these kids were actually referred from my daughter, but I tell them, look, I'm going to treat you as if you were my own kids, okay? If I see something wrong, I'm going to tell you. If you really love the house and I'm telling you why you really shouldn't love the house, you can trust
listen,
me,
yeah.
and you should listen. We walk in the house, right? You go in the kitchen, beautiful brand new kitchen. No crown molding over the kitchen cabinets. There was about this much space.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you put crown molding up there? What was it going to cost you? Another $500?
Yeah.
That really got me. You walk in, the garage has an old garage door. Oh yeah, hopefully they'll change that. Go in the basement, an old water heater. You put a brand new HVAC system in, but you left a 12-year-old water heater there, right? Where the washer and dryer is, okay? The washer and dryer, I go look. They ran no gas, and meanwhile, they got gas in the house. They left for an electric dryer. I said, all right, cool, no big deal. You can always use the electric dryer. And I'm looking, I'm going, where's it venting out to?
Wasn't?
No. Oh, my gosh. There's no vent.
Yeah.
To put a vent in, either you got to go through all the beams to the other side of the house because the water was near that bathroom, or you got to go up and go out the other way. But put it in.
Yeah.
Come on.
Vito is 5% of realtors that's going to talk you out of not buying the house.
If it's not
No,
worth it, in my
100%,
opinion, why sell somebody a house and then, all of a sudden they go hook up their washer and dryer. Hey,
There's a
Vito,
fire.
where's the vent go for the dryer?
I think that's how you can differentiate yourself away from other realtors, right? Is you have that personal relationship
Thank you.
with them. Do you have many veterans that come to you, or?
Yes and no. Years ago we dealt with a lot of veterans. I always get a lot of veterans that are putting offers on my listings. Okay. And I had the last one I had was probably a couple years ago, and the realtor calls me up. And I think I've mentioned this once or twice before, but realtor calls me up, and we have multiple offers on the property. And he goes, hey, Vito, I got an offer, yada, yada. And he's talking. And he goes, but I know what you're going to say, but hear me out, this and that. And he goes, my offer's with a VA loan. I said, okay, no problem. Silence on the other end. He goes, what do you mean? I go, it's fine. It's a VA loan. I said, I know that VA loan's going to close.
Yeah.
I know it's backed by the federal government. I know they're going to try to help this veteran get a house. And think about it. He served our country. Why wouldn't I want to take that offer?
Sure.
And again, we took the offer. I had no issue with it.
Is
And
there
it was
some-
multiple offers.
Some brokers that
Shy away from it.
some do.
Oh yeah. If you go to some of these brokers and you'll be like, okay, I have a person buying this house and they got 30% down. I have another one 20% down. I have this, I have that. And I have a VA loan, okay? And even though it might be more money than the other ones, well, they have no skin in the game. They're putting no money out of pocket, whatever. Guys, they fought for our country. Are you kidding me right now? Why wouldn't you give them the opportunity?
they're going to close.
They're going to close, and they always close. You got the appraiser is a veteran. The mortgage guy's usually a veteran. The realtor's usually a veteran, So, of course, they're going to make this happen. And another property I had where, we had an offer on the property, and it was a veteran, no money down. And we gave him our word. You're getting a house. Meanwhile, I think it was an attorney reviewer right after, another offer came in, and I don't remember, it was $5,000 or $10,000 over the price of this house. So I go to the sellers. I go, look, I'm just going to let you know. We got another offer in. It's more money than what you have. You know, how do you want to handle this? How much more? I said, like 5 or 10 grand. They looked at me and they said, you know what? He served our country. He goes, what's 5 or 10 grand going to do for me? We gave him our word. I don't care if it was 20 grand. He's getting the house.
That's beautiful.
And
I
they
like those
and they
stories.
and they you know, sold that house. And that's how it should be. You know?
Think about it too. You know, that veteran getting that house, right? Here you have somebody who fought for this country, who supported and defended the Constitution of this country, and they get to reap the rewards of what they fought. You know, they
Sure.
get to be a
That's
homeowner.
right.
They get to live the dream.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe this guy was renting and didn't want to rent anymore, and now in a different stage of his life, now he can own something.
Something, right.
And
right.
then, you know, could you imagine how debilitating that would be if they said, sorry,
No,
you know, somebody went in with $10,000
$10,000
more,
more.
and,
Yeah.
you know, the guy's like, really? You know,
Yeah.
just grabbed it from me?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Would you do it all over again?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when you're in the military, you can't wait to get out of the military. Then probably about 10, 15 years later, you're like, oh my God, what do I do to go back in? I miss it. I really missed
There's a lot of guys like that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Where they really miss it.
You also hear where, you know, you miss the Marines, but you don't miss the Marine Corps. You know, sometimes there's a lot of politics involved.
Sure.
You know, I was going to make it a career. I was like my 3rd year in. I was like, you know, I think I could, you know, I could do this. Maybe I'll re-enlist. I wanted to become an officer because I said to myself, if I'm going to make this career, I'm going to be an officer, and I'll do it that way. And the Marine Corps has a program called MESEP, Marine Corps Commissioning Enlistment Program. You know, you finish your degree, they send you to San Diego State University, and then you become an officer after you get your degree. And I was going to do that program, and started to put my package paperwork together for this program. And then we were doing just regular field operations in 29 Palms, California, basically just the middle of the desert. And this guy that owned this company selling equipment to the military, he was out there, and we were testing his equipment for our unit. You know, these big communication shelters, like big tents, but they take, instead of an hour to put together, it takes like 10, 15 minutes to set up, like really high-tech stuff. And then I was talking to the guy, and come to find out, he lived in the same hometown that I was living in.
Really?
And I'm like, here we are in the middle of the desert in California.
Wait, what are the odds?
And what are the odds of meeting this guy? And he was there for a week. And we just get talking, and he said, when do you get out? I said, I actually have several months left. And he's like, you know, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm thinking about re-enlisting. I'm not sure. He goes, well, you know, next time you're home on leave, why don't you come visit me? And I did, and I saw his factory and everything like that. It was a legit company. And he's like, look, I could use a guy like you. I'll hire you, and when you get out of the military, and you'll go out to the military bases and train these guys how to use this equipment. And I thought it was the greatest job ever to do something like that. And I said, all right, well, you know, I had a lot on decisioning to make, and I said to myself, well, all right, if this doesn't fall, if it falls through, it doesn't work out, I could always go back into the Marine Corps within a year, retain my rank, retain everything, and then just continue on. And ended up working for the guy for 15 years.
Wow.
And great company, helped the company grow from, we were $2 million annual revenue. And when I left 15 years later, we were at 120 million.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gosh.
And
That's awesome.
Amazing.
he sent me and a buddy of mine to Afghanistan. This is 2002. And we had a lot of we had a lot of equipment out helping support, you know, the global war on terror. So this is a year after 9/11, and the Army is buying our equipment, and we have all this equipment out in Bagram Airfield and they're like, hey, this equipment needs to be supported. And there were a lot of techs who were civilians that they're like, I'm not going to Afghanistan. And all the military guys or prior military guys in our company, we were literally like,
Let's go.
let's go. I'll go. Let's all sign up. And, we actually had a list of like, who's going and the rotation and everything. So I was in Afghanistan for like 2.5 months. And
That's an amazing story.
I tell you,
I'm learning so much about you today, Brian. I've known you for years. This is great.
You went from 2 to 120?
yeah, 2 million. It was literally a mom and pop shop in Orangeburg, New York. And he,
Did you get a fraction of the action
I
of the
wish.
company?
Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be great? No,
Look, that's all
I
these
didn't.
kids think about.
The angle. Helping grow a company to $120 million from 2 million. A lot of growing pains.
And that was all to the military, or is that also civilian
Military,
use?
civilian use. Well, not civilian, but federal use, FEMA.
That's my kind of 10. If it takes you 15 minutes, perfect. Those hour 10s, nope.
It was in a couple of movies too. So we would also have these deals with a lot of production companies because they wanted to, if it was a movie about the military or some sort of disaster,
Perfect.
they would, they want to make it look real. And, they would set our equipment up and, we'd be in a couple of movies also.
That's really cool.
That's great. That is
What are some
great.
habits that you learned from the military that you still have today?
Oh my goodness.
Probably a lot, right?
Yeah. So I still keep short haircut, obviously.
Wake up time usually the same?
Yes and no. I mean, I do get up early in the morning. I get up at 6:15 every morning. I'm in the gym by 7.
Nice.
But I would say, like, when I got out of the military, I was still wearing my watch to bed, and then I would have it, faced on my wrist.
Right.
And so there, you do that so there's no light emitting out of your, you can keep it down.
Yeah.
And I would have these small little things that I would still do, but year after year, you start giving those up. But the things that I still do to this day, I still iron my own clothes. Gym, health is big, and I make my bed every
day.
morning. Every morning I'm making my bed. And it was funny, there was a naval commander or an admiral.
Speech,
Yeah, that said, make your bed every morning. And I was like, oh my God, I do. But it's true though, because have you ever gone to your room where it's a mess and you're just like, oh, I got to clean this room up. But if you make your bed your first thing you do in the morning, and it's like, it's done. You completed the task for the day. And it's the easiest task that you'll have to do for that day.
You know what?
Hopefully.
Yeah. You know what Chris's mom told me when she would tell Chris,
What's
make
that?
your bed. And Chris would go, but Ma, I'm going to go sleep in it again tonight. Why am I going to make it?
I enjoy the military, as you can see.
Now, have you kept in touch with a lot of people you were in
it's funny.
the Marines with?
I remember buying a camera early into the joining the Marine Corps because I just wanted to take pictures of everything, and a lot of the guys would be like, "Oh, Gallagher and his camera, stop taking pictures, stop! I'm just taking pictures of everything." And then 20 plus years later, Facebook comes out, and then you start searching for all your buddies, and then you start finding your old buddies, and then everybody's like, "Hey, man, do you have any more of those pictures that you took?" I'm like,
Everyone starts asking you,
now I'm the
you want it
photographer.
for-
Before it was like, Gallagher, stop with the camera. And I'd scan these photos, send them off, and it's like being able to stay in touch through technology with guys that you were in the Marine Corps with. It's just amazing, and these guys are all over the U.S. Keep in touch with guy in Florida, guy in Boston, and guy in
All over the
upstate New
place.
York. we all just.
You share one
It's
thing
like-
in common.
Yeah, and even if it's just like a quick, I'm not on Facebook that much, but now like I'll go in and if I'll see a message in there and it's one of my buddies, I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, things are good. Quick catch up, and then that's it. And then a couple of years go by or a couple of months go by, and you're checking in.
You see their kids now.
You're constantly going to have their back, and they're going to constantly have your back, because that's how it was, and that's what your whole relationship was based on, was having each other's back. And again, back to your story of this veteran, he knew that he got this house because he had your back and you had his
back. Yep,
because he was the one that put you to bed at night with a blanket of freedom,
That's right.
and you repaid him back by staying true to your honor, to your
Italian
word.
ally.
That's it.
You gotta love the Italians.
But that's where
You guys flip flop too, World War II, by the way. Let's talk about that. Jake.
But that's where
Mussolini.
a lot of these agents out there and a lot of these sellers got to remember. You know what? If we can help our own, military out, our own veterans, who's going to help them?
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying it, but you guys fought for our country. We got to help you out. Let them get home ownership. You know, and what's it like getting a key?
Oh,
This
my
is your
goodness.
house.
Yeah.
You know, and being a veteran, all of a sudden, hey, this is my house. Wow.
You get to live the American dream that you fought for.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now you're living the
I
American
got a
dream.
war question for you.
Sure.
Killing Saddam, good or bad thing? It's a good question, though, right?
That's a great question. In hindsight, he would probably, if he were still in power, he would be like Kim Jong-un, right? Just this gnat, this mosquito that flies and just bugs you and you just wave it away. I personally don't think that, I personally don't think we should have gone into Iraq. It was,
I agree.
it was an easy entrance because we were already in the region. It's almost like saying, hey, let's just make a stopover and put a little freedom over here.
Yeah.
And, there's weapons of mass destruction in
was
there.
none.
And, you couldn't find any. So I get the play. I could see why you can make the play for it. But I feel it took our eye off the ball of our original scope of global war and terrorism, of fighting the people who brought the fight to us, and we ended up bringing the fight to them in Afghanistan. And I remember there was one point where all these members in the military in Afghanistan felt that the focus was off them now, and now it was in Iraq. But here they are; they're still in the country and they're still fighting.
Kept
And then
Iran
it
on their
escalated.
toes.
What?
Iran kept Iran on their toes. Saddam,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
that
yeah.
That was their problem to deal with.
Yeah.
Now Iraq is nothing.
Yeah.
Just a land.
So I don't know if it was the
Best decision.
best decision, but you know what? Who knows what would have happened
If we
5,
didn't go
10,
in.
15 years.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen. I'm sure it was bound to happen with somebody like Saddam Hussein in power. But again, to me, I think the fight should have stayed in Afghanistan. We probably would have got out of Afghanistan much sooner,
Way sooner,
and a cleaner break.
What do you think about that?
Yeah,
That pullout
that was
brutal.
horrible. But you know what? I'll tell you, no matter who made the decision, I think any pullout, it's going to be a nightmare. Anytime you pull troops out of
stuff
there,
there.
you just had you had to tear the Band-Aid off, and I don't think it was. I think it probably could have done much better than it did.
Yeah.
And leaving all this equipment there too, you're giving
I think Trump's deal was, I forget the name of the contract, but they would have to abide by what we want, and we'll pull out slowly. And if you don't hit these checkpoints, we're not pulling out. So it was like a slow progression to pull out, but the way we did it was disgusting.
Yeah. And again, leaving
died,
equipment there for these terrorist groups to
Use their own stuff.
Now they're using our
But even
our
think
stuff.
about the stuff like all the aircrafts that they can't fly. And people go, they can't fly them. Okay, well, China's going to buy them.
I was just going to say, guess who has that technology now? Yeah.
That can
That's
fly.
what it's just crazy. As an American, that's just beyond nuts.
Well, thankfully, I don't think much aircraft was left out there as compared to Humvees, MRAPs, land vehicles. I think that's what they left. I don't think they're going to leave. At least you would hope to think that they wouldn't leave
the
aircraft, and you know. But again, a lot of
Night vision stuff.
Yeah.
Because we fight it. We like, you know, we could fight at night.
Yeah.
SEALs fight at night. You know, we don't give the enemy the reason to fight at night.
right.
I'd like to sleep at night.
Not those SEALs.
So
You ever work with SEALs? And Delta
No,
guys?
but in the line of work that I was in, we were at Coronado in California, off the
They're all out
in
there.
San Diego is where they do their training, and we had a big contract with the Navy SEALs, so I was with those guys a lot. In Afghanistan, there was a unit out there that we were kind of attached to, that we worked closely with, and it was really interesting to see these guys. And you want to talk about being scared. These guys, I feel that they don't fear anything, and if they do, they don't show it. And that is the kind of guy that I want on that front line.
Oh, for sure.
That will keep me safe at night. Like, I guarantee you, you know, you got a guy like this protecting our freedom, you'll sleep better at night.
100%.
Knowing, you know, so seeing these guys, not seeing them in action, but being around these guys and
that
talking to
vibe.
them and hearing their stories, it's just amazing. And look, you know, like, I was embarrassed to say, oh, I was in the Marine Corps. Like, I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, to them, I was like a civilian contractor who was out in Iraq.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, who was out in Afghanistan. And, you know, these guys some of them were in Iraq, then they would go to Afghanistan, then they would go into Africa, and then they would come back, and they do this rotation.
And they were
it's
down
like,
south, too, in the 90s, too.
yeah.
Cocaine
Well,
trade.
no, I mean, the guys that I was talking to, you know, this is already, 2002,
yeah.
you know, but yeah, some of these guys are just, you know, the stories they tell is just,
It's the hardest training in the free world.
yeah,
That training
100%.
is nuts. Buds? No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you can keep it.
You know what Buds is? Basic underwater demolition.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's a SEAL training that they do, Hell Week, and it takes a certain type of person to go through that. And, you know, again, going back to mental and physical, that is definitely more mental. To keep yourself up and operational for 3 days straight.
And to be able
with-
to operate.
Yeah.
man, I can't operate after 18 hours. Never mind.
Forget it.
These guys are 3 days.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I have two friends that are SEALs, and their stories are just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Even like the training. Guys die in training. You know,
And you
there's-
don't hear a lot about that either. Yeah. You don't,
Yeah,
you
they
don't hear
push
about
those
that.
guys way past the limit.
Well, they have to. Look
They
what
have
they
to,
gotta
yeah.
they gotta do.
I mean,
you know?
you're basically the person that's put into a situation that, you know, not a lot of Americans will sign up to do,
to do.
you know?
No. Hell no.
And, you know,
Yeah.
these, you know, special forces, these SEALs, these MARSOC guys, I mean, they're they're a special brand. It's, you know, you don't mess
Their
with that guy.
brotherhood is amazing. There's the one guy I know from Florida. He goes out to California, and one like a big donor for the VA. He has a whole a weekend event, and a lot of his team. I think he's like Buds 185 maybe. That whole team goes out there, and they just
that's
have
great.
a good time for the weekend to share stories, and it's crazy too because hearing his perspective, like all these guys like Rob O'Neill that are coming on social
Yeah.
media, they're all shelved. They're not allowed back at reunions because you're not supposed to go out and talk about it live. And they said that a lot of these guys aren't allowed back anymore. They broke the code and that's it.
Yeah, he kind of leveraged his, you know,
Yeah.
his background to put him in the spotlight, which you're absolutely right. You're not supposed to,
Supposed to
to
be in the
do that.
spotlight.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's a story where President Obama went to the base where the Navy SEALs were, back in the U.S. and to congratulate them for what they did for when they took out Bin Laden, and President Obama said, "Okay,
Who got him?
who got him? Which one of you guys got him?" and the room was silent.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. And that's exactly how it should be. It should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Even to the leader of the free world, their boss, the commander in chief, who got him?
Not
No
supposed to
SEAL
say.
said nothing
Yeah,
because
it's-
no SEAL said anything because that's what they
the
do.
best in the world at what
That's
they do.
it.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah, very professional.
You don't need to know. You know,
and
He's-
even
it's
where they
gone.
go after life too. You know, some guys obviously stem one way, but you know, there's a lot of high-end attorneys, business professionals
Yeah.
that have that SEAL background.
Yeah.
There's actually one guy in this area. His net worth is $1 billion coming out of the SEALs. He got into
Jeez.
business and really became something. And you
Good
would
for
never
him.
know who he is. Drives a Jeep.
Yep,
Yep, it's
regular salt of the earth
That's
guy.
it.
and-
super cool.
Yeah.
I like hearing those stories.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
This was a great podcast.
Oh, I love this. Brian, did we bring back a lot of memories?
Yeah,
for
you did. I'm going to drive home, and I'm just going to be starting to think like, where's the nearest recruiter, and will he take somebody in their 50s?
Do you still shoot it a lot, or
No, it's funny. I had a conversation with somebody that says, "Oh, you must own a gun," and I know where he was going, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, why is that? Why?" He goes, "Oh, you used to be in the military,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Yeah, but guess what? I had to clean that thing. I had to make sure that it was in tip-top shape, that I didn't lose it. Even if you get rust on it, you can get written up for it." And it's like the second I didn't have to worry about a firearm.
heart palpitations
Yeah,
if
I
you see
don't
one.
want a firearm. I can go to a gun range and use their guns. I'm not
Let
gonna
them clean it.
Yeah, let them clean. It's their guns. But
Take a
yeah,
photo with the boat.
I could picture, cleaning that gun every night,
I went to Reloaders or one of these places, and just taking. I of course picked the M16A2, but the civilian version of that. And I'm firing, and it's just like muscle memory. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And it has, the rounds have a certain smell to it, and it literally
Brings
brought
you
me
back.
back.
Brought you
I was
back.
like, oh my God.
wow.
How many
And it
rounds were
was-
you guys carrying? 30, 35?
20 in the mag.
20.
Yeah, and then you would have 6 mags. Yeah.
Were you guys using Beretta sidearms?
Officers were, and then I remember I was on a special MAGTF, Special Marine Air Ground Task Force. We did a deployment for 30 days in Haiti, and our staff sergeant got us 9mm Berettas.
Nice.
Yeah. That was the only time
Those
that
are
I ever.
Italian V.
Those are
Yeah,
the
that
Beretta.
was the only time that I ever carried a 9mm. Other than that, regular, everyday Marine Corps guys. Yeah, unless that's your job.
Yeah.
Unless you're a machine gunner or unless you're, you got that weapon. But if you're just a regular Marine, you have a service rifle, M16A2 service rifle. Just like when, a conversation we had before about, your first job in the Marine Corps is whatever job you signed up for, but, that's your primary job. But
Yeah.
they also say that every Marine a rifleman. So no matter what, if you're a cook, if you're a pilot, you're
gotta
still a
know.
rifleman. You
Yeah.
still need to know how to use that rifle.
Yeah.
So
Impressive. Even like SEALs too, they have to know how to operate everything. You gotta be able to pick up an AK, know how to take it apart, but super cool stuff. I could talk to stuff.
Oh,
all
I
day
could
long.
talk for hours on this.
Yeah.
But the other one thing that I want to mention with Brian too, and we're both Fairfield residents, and Brian is the commander of the VFW in Fairfield. Can you tell everybody about the VFW, what it stands for,
absolutely.
what you guys
So
do?
The VFW is an organization for veterans. It's veterans of foreign wars. If you had fought in a foreign war, or if you were in a type of skirmish, or you fought overseas, you can join a VFW. If you're a regular veteran, they have other organizations like the American Legion, and but the VFW is for those who have fought in the war. The VFW in Fairfield kind of like fell into my lap. I had a friend of mine that came up to me and he said, hey, the VFW in town is about to shut down.
Yes, I
I
remember
said, well,
that.
that doesn't surprise me. This is like 6 years ago. I said, what happened? He's like, well, just a couple of old guys left and the place is, run down, And he said, look, I know you do a lot with wounded veterans. Is there something that you could do for the VFW? I said, I doubt it. These guys, they don't want to change. That's why VFWs are closing down.
Yeah.
Some are combining because they don't have the membership. So let me go in and talk to these guys. So I went in, they introduced me, and it was 2 Korean War veteran, 2 Marines from the Korean War, and a Navy guy from Vietnam.
Wow.
And I started talking to them, and, we just start talking about the military and, exchanging notes and talking about our experiences. And then we start getting to brass tacks, and I start telling them what they need to do to help the post stay open. And they kind of look at me with this blank stare, and I'm like, I can't talk to these guys about social media.
They were shooting M1 Grands back then.
These guys, they're in their 80s
I see them all the time.
70s and 80s, and I'm like, there's no way they can do this stuff that, the VFW needs right now. And I said, all right, I'll stay on for a few months. I'll help you guys out, so I'll help you, so the doors won't close. And that was 6 years ago.
Wow.
And I can't get out of that place.
But Chris, let me tell you, that place, like Brian was saying, it was a little run down, old and everything. You go in there now, the room that you can rent out is all brand new flooring and everything. The bathrooms are brand new. I mean, the place is spotless.
That's awesome.
I had an edict, and I told these guys, I said, look, if you're going to want me as a commander here, I'm not going to operate in a rearview mirror. I'm going to make changes. They're going to be painful because I know you guys are used to the way this place looks. But if you want it to survive, there's 2 things we need to take care of. We need to take care of the bathroom, because if you're a wife or mother and you rent this place, you're not going to come back after you look at that bathroom.
Right.
And the hall, it looks like a basement. And
like it's from the Korean War.
Yeah, it looked like, the wood paneling. It looked like a VFW. And I said, we need to clean it up.
Yeah.
So our mutual friend, Danny Sirica, I said to him, hey, I got this task for you. You think you can help me out? And I'll tell you, he just came in and said, let me run this. And he got he acted as the GC.
Right.
Didn't charge us anything. Just had to pay for materials. And that was the first thing, is the bathrooms. And it's like, people go into that bathroom now, they're like, oh my God.
Wow, what a difference.
It's like,
That's
Danny
awesome.
did a fantastic job on those bathrooms. And then I got, people in town together. It helped paint that room. And then we started to get money in. People started to get rentals, or started to come in and rent and have parties. And, it just snowballed from there. And now we're starting to see return rentals. People who have their baby showers there now have their first birthday there. I think we had an engagement party from the same person, engagement party, a wedding shower, or bridal shower, baby shower, and a first birthday.
Wow.
She came back four times.
Yeah. No,
And
the place is
Why don't we
amazing
do a
now.
poker night there one night?
They do run a poker
really?
night, but not VFW, like Sons and Daughters
Yeah,
of
Sons and
Italy will
Daughters,
run a
they
poker night.
have a fantastic, Texas Hold'em that he
Hold'em
does every
night.
year,
Yep,
raises
yep.
money for causes.
They have a great bar there too. The drinks are
really?
not that expensive. We got to go there for.
Well, unfortunately, now I know Vito, and now I know you. So we have what's called a club license. So I can only serve members and guests of our members. So if I didn't know you and you came off the street, I'd be like, I can get you a Coke. I can get you a Diet Coke.
That's good to
That's
know.
it.
So now we're guests of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
and now
so
you're
we're
my
in.
guest, and
What
I
are we
can
doing
sign you in.
No, but I'll tell you did turn around that
Thank you.
VFW. Everybody's been mentioning it.
Look,
It's a great
just
thing you did there.
I'd like to think that you could put any younger guy in there and they would do the same thing that I did. I don't think I did anything necessarily spectacular that somebody couldn't go in and do themselves. But I'll tell you, the town of Fairfield, these guys really backed us. And, guys like Danny Sirica, Barry Hollifer, coming in and, helping that place just turn around, with the skill set that they have. Or, hey, I know a guy that can do this. And it took us 6 years to really turn that building around to where it's a beautiful place for your parties and
Next
celebrations.
party we're gonna have there.
Let's do it.
We should
Yeah.
do a Super Bowl party there. With a big TV out there, you know? Think about it.
Yeah,
We got a
could.
week. We got a week and a half to
got a
think
week.
about it.
Is it available?
I think it is. I think it is for Super Bowl Sunday.
But I think this was a great podcast.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
Thank
Thank you for having me.
Yep,
This was
yep.
a blast.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the wine is done. And on that note, one day, and that day will come when you need to buy or sell a house. And when that day does come, you need to call Vito Cantuzzi, the godfather of Northern New Jersey real estate.